Okay, the verse to So Will I. Once again, the chord progression is just D major, F sharp minor, and E major. So the first part of the verse I'm actually going to break down into 2 measures and then 4 measures. So the beginning of the verse goes like this. So that's the first 2 measures. Let me do that again. Now if you want to fill it up a little bit more, you could actually bring a chord in every other beat. Let me do that again. And then you switch to the F sharp minor. So let me do that a few more times. One more time. Okay, so that's the first 2 measures of the verse, and then we move on to the F sharp minor. So I'm actually going to play the next 4 measures, which is a measure of F sharp minor, a measure of E, and the 2 measures of D, which is actually the beginning of the next progression. So here we go. One more time. And then that next progression really just ends with 2 measures of F sharp minor, or I'm sorry, a measure of F sharp minor, and then a measure of E, and then that next melody note actually comes in at the end of that E measure. So let me play 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me play the first 8 measures of the verse. So basically I'll be going through the chord progression twice. And remember, the chord progression for this first part of the verse is the same as the intro. 2 measures of D, a measure of F sharp minor, and a measure of E major. Alright, and I'm just holding that E chord. I could play it twice at the end if I wanted to. Let me do that one more time. Okay, the next part of the verse, the first part actually follows the same chord progression. The second part of that actually goes 2 measures of D, a measure of A, which is normally where you're doing that F sharp minor chord, and then a measure of E, and then it goes into the chorus part. Okay, so we got 8 more measures here. The first 4 measures follow the same chord progression, which is 2 measures of D, a measure of F sharp minor, and a measure of E major. And then the second half of this part of the verse is D major, D major, A major, and E major. And if you're a bass player, you're doing a C sharp on that A chord. All right, here we go. Let's do the first two parts, the first two measures on the D measure. Here we go. Let's do that again. As you go into the F sharp minor, there's like a little pickup note there before the F sharp minor comes in. And then once again another pickup note as you go into that E measure. Alright, so here's the first four measures together. Now, there's kind of an overlap between the second half of the verse here into the chorus. As you hit that last E chord in the verse, the melody for the chorus comes in there. And that actually would be the official start of the chorus if you're thinking about the chord progression. Most pop musicians think of verse, chorus, whatever. They usually follow a chord progression. When I play through a song, I'm thinking chord progression. The second half of this verse starts off with the same chord progression. Two measures of D, one measure of F sharp minor, and then E. But the last part of the verse changes. It's two measures of D, one measure of A, and then one measure of E major, and then you have that overlap. So the melody to the chorus is actually on that last measure of the verse. And then that right there is where our chord progression changes for the chorus, starting on an A major chord. Okay, here is the verse to So Will I. Okay, and that leads into the chorus, so I will see you on the next video and I will go through the entire first chorus.